Hey everybody, this is Sanj, and for those of you tuning in for the first time, welcome to The Real Fan Review. Make sure you check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Listen to all our episodes on your favorite podcasting app, and make sure to like us and subscribe on YouTube so you can keep up to date with all the new episodes. If there's a topic you would like us to talk about, just let us know. Our email address is therealfanreview@gmail.com. Real is spelled R-E-E-L. Enjoy the show.
You're listening to The Real Fan Review with Hav, Sanj, Al, and B.
What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav, one of your hosts from The Real Fan Review. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get you ready for that amazing Christmas movie coming up, Cats.
Meow. That's gonna be incredible.
Oh my God, Jason Derulo. Derulo, though.
I heard they fixed their animation.
Oh,
Still terrifying.
no, people, we're going to get you ready actually for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9. Yes, epic times. Call for an epic podcast. But unfortunately, we do not have my boy Sanj or our man in the chair Al today. Unfortunately, life got in the way again as usual, so we're recording on a Tuesday rather than on a Sunday night. But with me, I do got my brother B.
Reviews going up on a Tuesday.
So what we're going to do for you guys is we're going to get you guys ready for Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. We're coming into this movie off of a little, I say a lull there because of The Last Jedi for
That's a
most
nice
of
word.
us.
A
You know,
lull.
which is surprising because usually the Star Wars movies are pretty entertaining. They're pretty good. I got a chance to rewatch pretty much most of the movies. How about yourself?
I saw all of them.
Oh, okay.
Every single one. I want to make sure I was ready.
Yeah, I did the first three, the episode 4, 5, and 6, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of Jedi, and I did Last Jedi. I did the Force Awakens. I think I even did the Clone Wars for some reason, but I did not do Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and what's the last one there? The third one,
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. I missed those three, but I still got a couple of days. I got 2 days.
I got two old days.
But I remember a lot from it, man. But you watched all of them.
I watched all of them. I don't know why, but I watched all of them. I actually started from episode 1 and went all the way to 8.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of see how things went.
Okay.
Going forward. I know the real traditional way to watch is go 4 to 6 and then go 1 to 3 and then kind of go from there.
Right.
But I wanted to see how episode 4 made sense with what happened before it. So I kind of went from that order, and I made my my fiance watch it with me.
I'm surprised she watched
She
it.
watched all of them, and she's
Wow.
gonna come see Rise of Skywalker.
Well, that's the power of Baby Yoda.
That's exactly it. There's a funny meme out right now that's it's a Trojan horse, right?
Right.
And it's like, you know, the opening doors is the public, and the Trojan horse itself is Yoda, and then the inside is the rest of Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
Just captions the rest of Star Wars. It was so funny.
Oh, my God, man. But you know what? I'm not going to lie. For some reason, even though The Last Jedi made me not like how the series was going,
Agreed.
I'm amped up right now. I'm a little excited to go.
I you know, J.J. Abrams, he really put a big tease. You know, he set the bar extremely high by saying this is the movie that ties up every loose ends, that completes 9 movies worth of a saga. Like he hyped it up himself. Like,
No pressure, JJ.
Yeah.
No pressure.
so if you fuck this up, man, you done. It's over.
Oh, man. So, listen, this is going to be a pretty long one. Hopefully, we're not too long. We want to make sure you guys are entertained at the same time. So, what we'll do is we'll go in. Would you want to do chronological order or movie order?
Let's go through movie order.
All right. So, we'll go movie release order. So, the first movie we got is A New Hope. Now, let's just first off just state that the first 3, we're talking A New Hope, we're talking Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. I think without a doubt are the greatest Star Wars movies. They're the
Yes.
originals. They
Story wise,
I don't think there's ever going to be a Star Wars that's going to create characters like the way they did. Because these guys came out from nowhere. There was no C-3PO type.
No.
There's no R2-D2. Like there's no Chewbacca.
And then the world.
There you go.
And then, like, the worlds, the planets, the way they made their creatures, just the alien races that, like, when you see movies that have aliens, you see one or two, like, The Fifth Element had just like a couple different aliens in the couple scenes. And you saw just a couple. Star Wars, just in the cantina scene alone, was every person was a different alien species.
Right, in that bar, exactly. Yeah, in Tatooine.
Tatooine. That's it. Yeah. So, like, the way they just created a whole universe of characters in the late 70s,
exactly.
Like, that was incredible.
Yeah, the fact they even let that movie come out. Can you imagine pitching that movie? So I want a bunch of weird shit in space.
We're gonna have fights in space. What kind of fights? Wars. Star Wars.
And they're gonna have blasters and swords. Swords with blasters?
Laser swords.
Laser swords. So crazy, man. But okay, so let's go into this first one, the New Hope, man. So it starts off with, it looks like it's I think it's C-3PO and R2-D2 running away in the ship because the ship's being attacked by Darth Vader. Which is a shout out to Rogue One. Holla. Anyway, we'll get to Rogue One later. So they're running away with the plans for the Death Star that these group of rebels, Rogue One, shout out. These group of rebels got the plans for the Death Star, and they sent it to this ship, who then passed it on to Leia's ship.
Yeah.
Now Leia's trying to escape, but they get caught in the tractor beam, I guess. And what happens from there is they send off R2-D2 with these instructions that, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're our only hope. That was great.
Message.
That was great. And R2-D2, C-3PO, they find a way to get off on some kind of, like, I guess, safety ship. Or
they got shot off in the escape pods.
There. And they end up on Tatooine. Yeah.
How ironic.
How ironic. The Force works in mysterious ways.
Trust in the Force.
Luke. But, it gets on Tatooine, and a bunch of events happen where they end up, R2-D2 and C-3PO, in one of the they end up with one of the Jawas, with the Jawas in their big mobile freaking home
transporter thing.
Yeah, man. So they get caught and they get sold to
they get sold to his uncle.
Yeah, it's Aunt Beru and Uncle Lars.
Yeah, Lars. Yeah.
So apparently they get
Lars
sold to them.
Shmi. It's Shmi. Yeah, Lars and Shmi. Shmi Skywalker.
And they are the, I guess, their foster parents for Luke.
They're his uncle and his aunt.
Yeah.
Parent-wise, so they took him in when Obi-Wan kind of dropped him off. They thought that he should be with family. Mm-hmm. So those are
shout out to Revenge of the Sith.
And he knows that they're his aunt and uncle, so
yeah,
that was given.
And so from there, it looks like he's cleaning R2-D2. Yeah. Comes across the message from Leia. He finds out he has to give him to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I know a Ben Kenobi.
Yeah.
And doesn't think that they're the same people.
Nope. He's like, I gotta be a brother or something. I don't know. Maybe a dad.
So either way, R2-D2 runs off, and Luke goes after him with C-3PO to find out where R2-D2 went, and they end up getting captured, and saved by Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan Kenobi tells him he knows his father, but his father passed away. Lies.
His father was killed by Vader.
Yes. And we get this whole little exposition. That's where they go to the canteen bar there to find a way to get out of Tatooine. They look for a spaceship.
Yeah.
And they bump into our man Han. Han and Chewie. Brandon, did Han shoot first?
Of course Han shot first.
Yes, Han shot first.
I want to point out a funny thing that happens now. If you watch it on Disney Plus, shout out Disney Plus. In this new cut version of Star Wars for Disney Plus, they do something now where, like,
they both shoot.
They both shoot, but Han, like, moves his head. Like, they digitally moved his head to the side a little bit, so as if he, like, to make him trying to look cooler that he avoided the shot because he knew it was coming, and he killed him. Like, so very weird.
I thought they tried to say that they shot at the same time, so neither one shot first.
They shot at the same time. Han moved his head like a Jedi himself, actually.
Oh my goodness! So they meet with Han, and then they have this extra nonsense special edit scene that they added in when Lucas found out how to use computers and CGI. He put this fake Jabba the Hutt scene in there.
Yeah.
And then they get on the Millennium Falcon, the classic Millennium Falcon.
After they killed his family, too.
Right. Oh, that's right, because he went back.
He went back right after meeting Obi-Wan, and he was going to stay. He was like, nah, this isn't for me.
Now, because they were burnt to a crisp,
yeah.
Do you think that was the Mandalorian Boba Fett?
You know, I thought about it. We kind of talked about that. I thought like maybe a couple weeks ago. I think Sanjay brought it up when we saw the Mandalorian because he used the flamethrower.
Right.
And we saw, Django had that and Boba had it. But in rewatching Rogue One, I forget what scene it was. I think it may be in the intro after they had spoiler alert, killed Jyn Erso, Jyn Erso's parents, Jalen Erso, and the troopers there were using the flame torches. Mm-hmm. So I think that it was probably them. I think it would be cool if it was a bounty hunter. It would make sense,
right?
Given the nature of the job. But seeing that in Rogue One, I was like, oh, it's probably just the Empire.
Gotcha. So I mean, not to go for like a beat for beat take for this movie. Pretty much the main gist of it is we find Luke. Luke meets up with Obi-Wan Kenobi, who then meets up with Han Solo and Chewie, which they go on this rescue mission for Leia in one of the Death Stars, right? Not the Death Star, and actually one of the Imperial ships.
Yeah.
So they end up finding her, and it's this whole big chase scene and everything. And I think they get stuck in the trash compactor there. And they get out of the trash compactor. It's great. It's fun. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
One of the things I laughed at is I saw something for the first time. I always heard about it. There's a stormtrooper that tries to go through
and hits his head.
A gate, and he hits his head.
Yeah.
And if you listen closely, you hear doink. So yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that happens in the movie where they get caught in the trash compactor, but then they get out.
And we see our first lightsaber fight.
Yeah, it looked weak.
It's so funny when you watch the prequels and you see like the acrobatics and like how crazy and the twirling of the lightsabers before they even hit, and then it's just like he's like pointing at activator. He's like, yeah. It's like an old-fashioned fencing tournament, like
or like he has a broom in his hand.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you.
But I guess the main takeaway in that movie was that the Death Star destroys Alderaan, which is Leia's planet, that got destroyed. The Rebels destroy this new Death Star that they create for the first time, because after they escape from that Imperial ship, they go back down to one of the planets, link up with the rest of the Rebels, and they go back up to kill and destroy this Death Star.
This is like the last 30 minutes of the movie.
Now, it was funny when I was rewatching this. I didn't think there was a Death Star in the first one.
Yeah.
When they went down to the planet, I was like, oh, I guess this movie's over.
Yeah, I was like, that's it.
Oh, they're going for more.
I was like, wait, wasn't this the next one? I was like, oh, no, I guess not. Like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I was caught off guard by that. I was like, how long is this movie?
This is when he first trusts and believes in the Force.
Now, I have to admit, though, those two little missiles that go straight and then make a 90-degree angle turn, it's a little ridiculous.
That's the Force, Javier.
That's not the Force. It's fucking fake. But yeah, and that was a great ending. They destroyed the Death Star there. I can only imagine for the first time seeing that movie and not expecting anything like that, of just losing your damn mind seeing something like that. I could see that.
Yeah, especially when the Death Star explodes. Like, that's a beautiful explosion.
Yeah, it was pretty insane.
The graphics are crazy.
And then, so after the Star Wars, I guess it was a hit, because really they could have ended it right there. There was really nothing more to do.
Well, I mean, the first one was a perfect setup. I mean, number one, they titled it Episode 4, and you're like, when the fuck? Like, did I miss something? Like, like.
Well, when the movie first came out,
Star Wars.
It was just A New Hope. It was just Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then after the movie started getting, I think after the original 3, they numbered it 4, and they called it A New Hope, I believe it was.
And it was a perfect setup because, I mean, you got to meet Darth Vader. You lose Ben Kenobi. You know,
Right.
you didn't really realize that he willingly gave up. You thought he just got beat to the shoulder. He took a hit to the shoulder, like, you know, but he willingly gave into the Force there. You know, so he gave himself up to the Force, I believe is the saying.
Yeah.
So you meet Darth Vader. You're kind of wondering what's going on. So, I mean, the first one ended off with, like, fuck, we got this guy Darth Vader. He's a badass, you know, like,
right.
what are these guys going to do to win? You know, and I guess, there, you know, you kind of hoped there was going to be a sequel because of the way it ended.
Yeah, exactly, man.
And thank God we got one.
And then we got, which is a lot of people's favorite all-time Star Wars movie, which is The Empire Strikes Back. Now, in that movie, you know, I when I was rewatching it, it's so funny because you look at the time when it came out. I think this was 1980, 1982 that this movie came out.
80s.
And some of the graphics that they do compared to now, it doesn't look like the womp womps or
when they're riding the wombas,
the wombas there.
womps, whatever the hell they're called.
I was just like, wow, that's pretty bad. But it's like, I guess in that time that
was incredible. Yeah,
that stop motion or claymation, whatever they used to do that, it was pretty cool. But in that one, I found a lot of things interesting, like the way that they split up the team. You know, they split up the team pretty easily, like right from jump. Because when they got out of Hoth,
they made the plan right there. Like, I need to go find Yoda.
Right,
it was Luke's whole thing, and then they were like, we got to go meet up with the rebels. You know, we have to find our new base. We have to go this. We have to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So it was kind of crazy. Like everybody was just trying to get away because they got caught in Hoth. Was it right?
Yeah, in Hoth.
Yeah, and you know what, man? I still love them taking down the AT-ATs, man.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Just watching them do the little pole, the magnetic
rope thing,
and they go around the legs and bring it down, which is pretty funny, man. Because then you think about Spider-Man in Civil War and all that stuff, so it's pretty funny. But yeah, and I mean, in this movie, like you said, Luke and Yoda meet for the first time. What'd you think of Yoda and Luke's interaction, man? I think it was pretty hilarious.
I think it was hilarious. Yoda is the funniest, you know, and it's funny because, like, you meet Yoda here, and, you know, you get the sense of Yoda, and then you're like, what the hell is this green thing? And he's supposedly the greatest thing you've ever met, you know, according to his history. Yeah. And then you know, when you get around to watching the prequels, it's not the same person. Like,
no.
You know, they're two different Yodas.
Yeah, completely pretending to be this, like, idiot, you know?
Right? Like, so it's crazy, you know, and the meeting of Yoda, especially when they get into that dark forest part where they encounter Luke's greatest fears, you know,
right.
Like that was really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting, man. Darth Vader shows up in slow motion. You're like, oh, it's like, a trap. But in that movie, what else happens in that movie is besides the Hoth battle that took pretty much like an hour long. The whole Hoth scene.
The intro was, I mean, between long. Luke getting kidnapped by the ice monster thing to being rescued by Han Solo. Yeah, it was like a Yeti. Because it wasn't really a Yeti, but it looked like one. Yeah. You can't call it one. And then Han Solo rescued him, and then they come back. And cool story about that one, you know, because I don't know if you know, like, Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill had originally gotten into a car accident really bad and, like, hurt his hand and messed up his face. And they worked that into the movie. So him getting fucked up by the Yeti and all that, and then next thing when you see him, his face is all swollen and cut up, that was real.
Oh, wow.
That was real. That was actually from the car accident. So when he got hurt in his hand and stuff.
You know what's funny? I noticed his face, and I'm like, when did he get punched in the face?
When he got taken out when his wampum thing got taken out, that's when he got hit in the face, apparently.
Oh,
so
wow.
They worked his car accident into the movie.
That's hilarious.
Because they didn't want to delay the shooting.
Yeah. So, I mean, the other thing besides while Luke is out there trying to learn the way of the Force from Yoda, I believe it's Han, Leia, Chewbacca, R2-D2. Mm-hmm. No, C-3PO. R2-D2's with Luke.
Yeah.
They go off to kind of hide, and I think they get caught somehow, like they were being chased or they were being followed by Boba Fett.
And then they land in Cloud City.
Right, and that's where Lando Calrissian is in, yeah. So we find them there in this new planet here, which looks pretty cool. I thought it was an interesting idea, you know, in the clouds and everything. And then Lando's friend, the guy with the thing around his ears.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Right. I don't know his name, but that's awesome.
That shit was cool.
So that guy, they end up working with the Empire there because apparently the Empire got there before Han did, and they worked out a deal so that they could be taken away and the Cloud City people would be left alone. But then as bad guys do, they change their minds.
Yeah. And then the plan was to, test out. They wanted to capture Luke to bring him to the Emperor. And this was the first movie that brought the term the Emperor in. So we didn't meet him in this movie, but the term was like, the Emperor.
No, they showed him really quick in like I guess those holograms.
Yeah,
they showed him his hood and everything like that.
And so the whole plan was to freeze Luke. The whole thing was to get Luke there.
Yeah,
and freeze him, because Vader felt the Force coming out of him. That's what Vader took an interest in Luke from the first movie when he blew up the Death Star.
Right.
Vader sensed the Force coming from him. And so like the whole thing was to freeze Luke. So they said, you know what, let's try this out on somebody.
Right.
So that's when they froze Han in the carbonite.
Right, and then he gave him over to Boba Fett to collect on Jango on. Oh my God, I keep forgetting this guy's name now. Jabba the Hutt's bounty on Han. So he captured, gave him to Boba Fett, and then this is when it's a trap came out.
Oh, it's a trap.
But Leia sees Luke walking around in the Cloud City building. She says, "It's a trap. Don't do it."
Yeah.
And he can't help himself.
He's like, "I know it's a trap, but I got to do it."
And not for nothing, much better than the first Star Wars. The lightsaber battle in this one was pretty cool.
Yeah, because he had acrobatics. He flipped out of the thing. Like he landed in the thing to be iced and flipped out of it.
Yeah, he heard everything turn on and he jumped out real quick.
Yeah,
and he did some ridiculous Nintendo jump out of there.
It was like it's like it's funny because like, when we talk about Star Wars all the time on the podcast, Al is always the first one to be like, I don't like the fact that Rey was just a master out of nowhere. She has this and that. But then, like, you remember, like, Luke spent, like, 5 minutes in the woods with Yoda and came out flipping and shit.
Because he felt it.
He felt the Force. Like,
and that's what, it puts things into perspective because, like, I get where Al's coming from too. When we get to Force Awakens, we'll talk about Rey and how fast she learned her powers because she did do a lot of stuff in that Force Awakens movie. But so I mean, we get the ending of that thing is with the battle between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker in Empire Strikes Back, which was a pretty good.
Yeah, it was a long fight.
And you know what? I didn't realize how like brutal Darth Vader was with the sword because he was chopping.
Yeah,
he wasn't on guard. Yeah. He was chopping it with two hands like he was holding an axe.
He wanted to see what this kid can do.
Yeah, man. And then infamous scene there, we see he tells Luke to join them and he cuts his hand off, still trying to fight him. So he's fighting, Luke is fighting back, and then all of a sudden he does some little loop-de-loop thing on his on the
I'm gonna get him.
on the lightsaber. Is it lightsaber?
Yeah. On
the lightsaber there, and then he gets his hands cut off. And that's when he tells Luke, "Join me." No. And then he goes, "Juke, Luke. Juke.
Juke.
Luke, I am your father."
Search your feelings. You know it's to be true.
You know it to be true.
That's my
favorite line. I'll never join you.
And the motherfucker's like, you know what? Let me jump.
I don't think I made that decision.
He was like, I'll be fine.
Yeah, man. So
the Force will guide me.
Yeah, that was some crazy. Because he was falling straight down, and all of a sudden he did a little, I'm going to the left.
Yeah, I'm going to do this left shit. I'm going to land in this trash shoot thing and then get shot out of the fucking city.
And then he lands on an old school antenna on that I used to see on top of buildings in the Bronx.
Yeah. That number one, that thing held up. Number two, he held on.
Somebody wasn't getting HBO that night in Cloud City. So he's hanging on the thing. He's asking for Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan told him, if you go, I'm not going to be able to help you. So Obi-Wan doesn't respond, or he doesn't hear him, or he ignores him, one or the other.
Yeah.
And then
Force ghost,
he calls out to Leia, and Leia hears him. So we're like, hey. And this is something I always question, right? Leia was in front of Vader in A New Hope from the beginning of the movie. He doesn't sense anything in her.
Well, maybe she wasn't using the Force. Like, it took for Luke to use the Force for maybe a connection to kind of ring through Vader.
Was that the first connection when he talked to her, when he said her name, when he said her name?
Yeah.
That's insane. So maybe she didn't know, and that's why the Force wasn't coming out?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. And well, that's how they found Luke there because
they turned the Falcon around.
He did. They turned the Falcon around, and Lando's like, "What?" and then Chewie was about to take his head off. So they turn around to go get Luke. Luke gets back on the plane. The Millennium Falcon.
The plane.
And pretty much that's pretty much
they
it,
give
man.
them the robot hand, and that's it.
Robot hand, and I guess you could kind of guess that they're trying to make a plan to get Han.
Yeah.
And that's we get right into Return of the Jedi. This is another one people consider their classics. Which, you know, for me, honestly, out of the three of them, my favorite is still A New Hope, the first one.
Yeah.
I watched Empire Strikes Back expecting to like it a lot more than A New Hope, but I didn't like the way the story went in Empire Strikes Back as much as I liked A New Hope, the way that it rolled. Return of the Jedi is cool. I'm not really crazy about the Ewoks anymore. When I was like 5, I was all about the Ewoks.
She was great.
But in this one here, we get them trying to go to Jabba the Hutt's palace.
Yeah.
You know, R2-D2 and C-3PO get through, and they get captured.
Luke gives them up. That's the worst part.
Yeah,
like they
take these droids.
Yeah. So Leia is undercover, and she has both droids, and she, you know, hands the sign over to Jabba, like, you know, the message, and it's a message from Luke, and Luke's like, he's like, you know, release Han. He's like, but you know what? I'm on my way. He's like, take these 2 droids. They'll serve you well. And C-3PO was like, what the fuck? Like, that was not part of the plan.
Oh my god.
And then Leia gets caught, you know, when she goes and de-ices Han. She takes her helmet off because he's blind, and you know she had like a voice changer thing, so she took her helmet off. So so Han could understand it's her. And then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, they pull back like a curtain, and Jabba's there,
Jabba the Hutt and the
laughing.
crew.
Yeah, the whole crew's there. Like, how the hell you move that fast?
The blue elephant that plays the trumpet with his snout. They're all watching.
My favorite is Jabba go, ah. What? How the fuck you move that fast? And then goes Leia. Then she gets caught.
Yeah, man. Then she gets caught, but then that's when we get our Luke,
our Jedi Knight.
Yes, the Jedi Master. He must have went back and got more training in Dagobah.
No, he didn't. He didn't go back. This was just random. Like he just
I could have sworn
he didn't go back to Yoda. The plan was to go back. I don't know. Somehow this guy just got super good with the Force.
I could have swore that's what they were insinuating, is that after Empire Strikes Back, he went back, and that's how he became the Knight.
The plan
Well, he only wears black
always
now.
go back to Yoda. The plan was to go back to Yoda, but the plan after Empire was to go rescue Han. And he was like, that's what he was like, oh, sorry, Master Yoda, like, I'll be back, like, I'll come back. So, like, yeah, over the course of, like, a week, my man became a Jedi Master with a new lightsaber and everything, with new Kyber crystal in it, like... Like, I understand special effects, like, you couldn't have the blue lightsaber against the blue backgrounds, that's why they gave it green. But, like, my man got a new Kyber crystal, you know, built a new lightsaber, and is a Jedi Master over the span of, like, 72 hours.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts, man. Which kind of explains race. Why Rey's so powerful right now. But, I mean, again, not to go line by line on this movie, but there was a lot of cool stuff. The Ewok scene, the speed bikes in the forest scene, of course. Yeah, that
was awesome.
You know, them and finally the final battle of the Ewoks and the Rebels going against the Empire was pretty awesome as well. We got to see Palpatine. Now, the thing I want to talk about is Palpatine, because I know there's allegedly, we're not sure yet, we hear his voice, but Palpatine's allegedly in this movie. So did you learn anything about Palpatine in this movie?
That Ian McDermott is like a badass. Because he's played Palpatine since the beginning. That's always been him. And that's crazy.
Yeah. It's nuts.
But, you know, you get a sense of what the dark side could be. Right. Because it's never really made clear what the light side and the dark side is until the prequel movies. The prequels, So you just hear about the Jedis, and I think the Sith was like thrown in like once or twice.
Right.
You know, like the Sith are back or something like that. Oh, that was in the prequels, I'm sorry. But like, you know, you maybe hear the word Sith once or twice, but it's about, you don't hear light side, you hear the dark side. Join the dark side. Join us on the dark side. So this movie, you get a sense like hatred and sadness and sorrow and anger. That's what the dark side feeds on. So when Luke was getting angry, you know, the Palpatine was getting super happy because that's what he needed to fuel him into the dark side. There was an easy way to persuade him into it, was through power of being angry. You know, so that was interesting to learn.
Yes, strike him down, Luke.
Yes, strike him down.
Strike him, Luke.
They all have the same laugh in the movie.
The Jedi.
The Jedi.
Oh man. So I mean, listen, the basic things that happen in Empire Strikes Back, we have Darth Vader versing Luke for one more time, but Luke refuses to strike him down, refuses to kill him off as Palpatine pretty much eggs him on to get him to turn to the dark side.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening is, I guess Luke just refuses to give up on him.
He says, "There's good in you, Father."
Which is, you know what, just to jump really quick, is one of the reasons why I didn't like The Last Jedi, because the Luke that I remember is the Luke from Return of the Jedi, The Empire Strikes Back, and the kid that never gave up in The New Hope.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like, for him to turn into whatever he turned into in The Last Jedi, which we'll get to, pisses me off. Yeah. Anyway, so, you know, Luke...
Search your feelings, you know it to be true.
Yes, they are true. I hate fucking The Last Jedi. So, you know, he pushes him to not, and he refuses to do it. So Palpatine and Luke start going at it, while Darth Vader, I think Darth Vader was like out for the count, or he
was out for like a second, yeah.
And then as Luke is fighting Palpatine, starts to lose, or it really wasn't a real fight,
yeah,
a fair
really
fight, because Palpatine has electricity,
the Force lightning, yeah,
which is insane. And I think he was basically killing off Luke for a second there. And then here comes Darth Vader.
He's like, "Father, help me."
And Darth Vader looks at Luke, looks at Palpatine, looks at Luke. And he suplexes Palpatine.
You know the crazy part about this fight, though?
Yeah.
Was like, you know, we learned the sequel, the rule of two. You know, there can only be a master and the apprentice when it comes to the Sith. Yeah. You know, unlike the Jedi that have like hundreds of Jedi, there can only be 2 Sith. And it's crazy because the whole plan was for Luke to become Palpatine's apprentice. And Vader was with that plan, so Vader knew that my son has to kill me so that way he can become Palpatine's apprentice. And he was willingly going into it. Now, obviously, he was going to fight for that. But, like, he was like, I know this is what our goal is, to have my son become his apprentice. Right. So he was willingly, before he, you know, joined the good side for a second, he was willingly like, my son's going to kill me. Let's do this. Like, he offered himself up for that fight.
Yeah, it's insane when you think about it that way.
That's the crazy part.
Well, which is also stupid. Why is there only 2 Sith allowed at the same time?
Power struggle, that's why.
They say that. They say it's a power struggle. That's the reason it should only be 2. But at the same time,
that's why the apprentice always kills the master.
Better your odds, guys? Like, seriously?
I don't know. They did pretty well. After Darth Maul, they did really good.
Man, they killed some shit. I mean, so anyway, listen, there was another Death Star in this movie that got destroyed.
Yeah.
The one that they were building. So it wasn't completed, but it was on its way.
The whole ruse was that this Death Star isn't completed, so it's not operational. So our whole tactic to destroy this one should be easier. And like, nah, we did this on purpose, homies. Like, we gotcha.
And this is one, which is again another weird thing. They revealed that Luke and Leia are twins. I guess they finally realized it.
Yeah,
in this
there's
one
another
as well.
Skywalker.
Right, and then I guess you could say the redemption of Darth Vader also.
Yeah,
you know, because hey, he helped his son, and he got a little Force ghost.
He got his own Force ghost. They had hair. He had some long hair.
Yeah, man. So that's pretty crazy. Well, I mean, they also changed it to be freaking Hayden Christensen, which is funny, but I guess they didn't want to show that freaking old bald head, the egghead thing that they had before. So funny. So now let's get into, we said we're going to go in movie release order. So years went by, people still clamoring for Star Wars.
Yeah, this is 2,000.
You get what you paid for.
You really do.
You get what you asked for.
You did this shit.
Buy tickets because it sucks.
Yes.
Yes, the dark side lives. So we get the Phantom Menace.
Oh my god.
Now, what's crazy about the Phantom Menace, if I remember correctly,
The
Phantom
goddamn setup
Menace,
was incredible.
the trailers to the Phantom Menace that showed Darth Maul with the 2 lightsaber,
And that was the
staff.
end of the trailer.
Dude, I still have memories of you calling my cell phone and leaving voicemails of you going Shaba Shabada. If I could save voicemails, man, I wish I could have saved that thing, man. But listen, as much that people kill these movies, there's enjoyment in them.
There is.
You know, in the Phantom Menace, I do appreciate Darth Maul in the movie.
They were trying to reach a new generation, a new crowd, and I mean, merchandise was a huge thing
Of
back
course,
then. So
yeah.
all the toys that were coming from, they wanted to get adults for nostalgia and get their kids involved, and I get it. I mean, the same thing they did with Force Awakens.
Yeah.
But my God, what a sacrifice that was.
Now, I mean, look, we got the opening where we see Obi-Wan Kenobi, who was learning from Qui-Gon Jinn at the moment.
Yeah.
They showed how badass the Jedis were, but which is crazy. Again, like you said, in A New Hope, we see Ben Kenobi basically poking at Darth Vader with his lightsaber, and then in this movie, he's like this awesome swordsman.
They're incredible. Oh my God.
So it's just crazy. And then the fact that C-3PO and R2-D2 have been through all this shit this entire time,
yeah,
is just absolutely nuts.
Which is interesting because like C-3PO has, I don't recall in the last movie, I know we're jumping ahead, his memory being wiped, so he should have knew where he was on Tatooine.
Right? He's been there before.
Like, especially R2-D2, like, I know he was in and out from Tatooine, but like C-3PO was made by Anakin. So like, he should have knew the house is the same house.
Yeah, right? Oh my God.
If not the family, like fuck. Like
So, and then this movie also, because we know who Palpatine is, there's this overlaying thing with the Chancellor.
The Chancellor, yes.
And we all looking at him like, I'm pretty sure
that motherfucker's evil.
that's Palpatine.
Same actor. So
Yeah, like this mystery is pretty much solved right now.
There's a lot of sketchiness in that first one. I mean, the story alone, like if we take it back to the fact that the whole movie was based around the Trade Federation. Like that was
boring.
Like it was all about a meeting. Like they didn't want to have a meeting.
And also making him the Supreme Chancellor.
Yeah.
That was the bottom line, was making
goal.
him to get there so that he could make decisions about what the Empire should do or what the whole galactic
and see where everyone else is doing so he can make plans around it.
Exactly.
So like that shit was hilarious. Like I was like, the Trade Federation was like the whole point of the first movie. And you're like, all about negotiations? Like,
that's why that shit was so fucking boring. It was so bad, dude.
You get the Gungans. Oh my God, Jar Jar Binks.
Misa say you so stupid.
Yeah, that came up in The Mandalorian last week, which was great.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Bill Burr is amazing.
Bill Burr, which was like, I feel so bad for the actor who played Jar Jar Binks. Like, like that ruined his whole career before it started. That was terrible.
The whole Gungan thing. Oh God, let's not even go there. But you know what? One of the things, the first thought I think of Phantom Menace, honestly, before I even think of like Anakin for the first time or Darth Maul's cool looking, ridiculous that he's looked badass.
He was the craziest character I've ever met.
I think of the races.
Pod race?
I think of the pod racing, man. And I remember there was a game that came out.
A video game based on pod racing.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
We owned it. I remember playing it.
But is there anything about Phantom Menace that really sticks with you, if out of anything?
I think, was I want to say, if anything, like, you obviously you meet young Anakin Skywalker, and you're kind of like, how, watching that movie for the first time, you're saying, how the hell does this kid get to where he is? Right. Being this lighthearted kid, and he's going to go be trained to be a Jedi. By the end of the movie, Obi-Wan makes the decision to take him under his wing because Qui-Gon wanted him to, and this and that because he sensed the midichlorians and all this, blah, blah, blah. And we don't want to talk about midichlorians right now.
No.
The whole prophecy, the one born of no father will be the one to bring balance to the Force, and like, you know, you have all this going on. You're like, how does this kid turn into what he becomes?
Right.
And you're like, like, so
not for nothing though. I mean, let's be honest here. I'm gonna say things that I might regret, but like, I like kids. I think your kids awesome. I have kids, and I love my kids. That was a shitty actor.
He was terrible.
His lines were so bad, bro. And I know he's like 9-10 years old.
They like plucked him from.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Like, we need someone kind of cute. Oh, hey!
Come on, Sebulba. What the fuck?
Yeah, I can't even lie. The majority of the lines from the first movie.
The first 3 movies. Well, actually, the first 2 movies were.
The first 2 movies, the lines alone.
Oh my
Lord! You
Lord.
can turn off the movie just because the lines are ridiculous.
Speaking of corny lines, let's get to episode 2, Attack of the Clones. The sand is coarse across my skin.
I don't like sand.
It's
rough and it's coarse and it just gets everywhere.
I can't stop thinking about you.
Not like you, Padme, who is soft.
Oh,
all right,
God.
get creepy creeper. Like, let's set up the basis of the fact that episode 2 established the fact that Anakin Skywalker was the creepiest motherfucker in the galaxy.
Let's set up the fact that Padme was robbing the cradle.
She was easily 18 in the first movie, and she like eyed that kid. She's like, I'm gonna fuck that kid one day. 10 years from now, all mine.
Oh my God. Now, I gotta be real too, because again, just like with most movies, you're not gonna hate every freaking second of it, but there was definitely things you could take away from.
So too, I hated every.
You did hate every second. Nah, you know what? The scene where they were being bodyguards to Padme.
Yeah.
And they had the
slugs.
The slugs, but also the person who shot him out, they were like a face changer.
Yeah.
And
they had to chase them.
The chase, I thought that was pretty cool.
The highway
actually.
chase.
It actually looked really good. When I first saw it in the movie theaters, it looked great. But the rest of the movie just fell apart. I thought it was interesting seeing that planet where when Obi-Wan went to go to
see the clones,
because he got a tip from someone saying they were looking for a Jedi. I forgot by the name of. Oh man, I can't remember his name right now.
This is in the Clone Wars too. I forget it.
I forgot his name right now, but yes. Anyway, he went to the clone planet, and that's where you saw all the clones of the Jango Fett there, which led to the one child that wasn't a clone, which was,
no, he was a clone, but they didn't age him.
Oh, they didn't age.
Yeah, they didn't age him. They didn't do like all the special aging things.
So they just let him grow like a normal kid. That's Boba Fett.
Yeah. So Boba Fett is Jango Fett's clone, but they didn't do the aging because he wanted to have a kid.
Yeah. But it also changed the way I thought about the Empire, because here I am thinking it's a bunch of soldiers. I didn't think they were a bunch of clones.
Yeah. Which is interesting because like in A New Hope, the only mention of this Clone Wars thing was one line when Ben Kenobi was just like, oh yeah, you know, I knew your father, we fought together, this and that. He goes, oh, my father fought in the Clone Wars? And they're like, George Lucas is like, that's going to be one of the movies, hint, 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 30 years from now.
Oh, man. I mean, but listen, it was, like I said, it was still interesting and a cool movie to see. I'm trying to think of, like, what really happened in that movie besides Anakin getting married to Padme and Anakin marrying each other in secret.
So, Darth Sidious, he was, you know, they didn't know he was an ex-Jedi. You know, he left the council, but they didn't know he was a Sith. They didn't know he was the new apprentice.
He's the one who put the order through. Count Dooku, that's his name. Yeah. He was the Jedi that ordered the clones, I think, and that's why he went to go invest.
He used the other Jedi's name, because that was his master. And he used his name to order the clones.
Right.
That's why the clones had the Order 66 in them.
Yeah.
So Count Dooku was technically just kind of like not a senator, but like an ambassador. But he was secretly taking in all the people from, I think, the Trade Federation. I think that's who it was. And, you know, they're all bad people. And he was collecting them all on one planet to kind of discuss how they were going to start like the new empire, basically what it was going to be.
Right.
And that's when Obi-Wan caught on to what the plan was and went to the plan, and that's when he got captured.
Yeah, and I believe the next thing that happened also, didn't Anakin find out that something was happening to his mom?
Yeah,
I think he felt it in the Force or something.
He was having dreams about his mother dying. And so then that's when he went to Tatooine, and that's when he found his mom, and, they had their little goodbye because she died, and then he went all psycho on the Sand People.
I killed them, Padme. Not just the men.
But the women and children, too.
Oh, God.
Oh, shit. Oh, Annie. Like, it was like,
oh, Annie.
Oh, Annie. He was like, okay, shit. So, and then they got married after that. Like, motherfucker had to murder people for them to get married. Oh, the ending of the movie was them getting married. I'm sorry.
It was them getting married.
Jumping ahead.
But even right before
That's
that, one of the things that happened that was pretty big was freaking Jar Jar Binks again fucked it up. He was the deciding vote from wherever Padme was from. I forgot
Naboo.
From Naboo, who made Palpatine he gave Palpatine emergency powers over the Republic to make all the decisions about the clones and what they were going to do with the clones.
Yeah.
Fantastic, Jar Jar Binks.
Good job, asshole.
You so stupid. Now, in movie order, we go to, of course, Revenge of the Sith. Mm-hmm. But there was I think it was like 8 series for the Clone Wars.
2 different cartoon series for Clone Wars.
Right.
One being like the really short 10-minute shorts. Mm-hmm. There was like 6 of them, I think. And they spanned like a couple different stories. So there was Asajj Ventress. So she was like the new apprentice for Count Dooku, which kind of breaks the rule a little bit.
Uh-huh.
She was his apprentice. And so she was going after Anakin, I believe. And then Obi-Wan was fighting this gladiator-looking dude on one planet.
Right.
And then I think that ended with Anakin and Obi-Wan going after Count Dooku, and then Obi-Wan crushing his chest with the Force.
Oh, that was what was his name? That's
not Count Dooku. I'm sorry.
That was
General Grievous.
General Grievous, yes, with the 4 arms, and he collected lightsabers.
Yeah, they introduced him like 2 episodes before, and then like he crushed his chest.
He crushed his chest, and that
then
was led into Revenge of the Sith.
Tied directly into it.
Now, I gotta say, out of the 3 movies, this one was my favorite out of those 3.
It was the one that had the most action, was the better acted, I would say.
I guess so.
And then you got the transformation.
They cut to the business pretty much. And, we saw Order 66 be put into use, which was kind of crazy because you saw all the Jedis that were falling.
Yeah, they just turned around and started shooting the Jedi instead. That was crazy.
Oh, yeah, man. It was just nuts, man. But again, out of all of them, this one I did like because I liked the beginning, the whole space battle. I think it was one of the most interesting space battles that they had on Star Wars at the time.
Yeah.
That one was pretty cool, that space battle. Then the fight between, Anakin, Count Dooku, and also General Grievous, because didn't Anakin scissor Count Dooku's head off?
Yeah. After Palpatine edged him on.
Right.
He's like, do it, Anakin. Like he even put his Palpatine voice like, do it. And I was like, oh, you gotta turn around? You gotta turn around and look at that?
You're like, hey, did you just sound weird?
He was like, Anakin, you gotta do it because, he's just gonna keep coming. And he was like, do it. I was like, no, that's not strange.
And that was the beginning of the turn there for Palpatine to turn into Palpatine. Or what's his Darth name?
I think he's
just Palpatine, right?
No, he had a Darth name. Darth Sidious was Count Dooku, right? Darth Tyrannus?
I don't remember.
I forget.
Yeah, I just always know him as Palpatine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in this movie, to get down to the nitty-gritties, we see the creation of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
He goes through his craziness there. It's this is before he fights Obi-Wan. So what exactly happened here?
So what happened was the Palpatine just came right out. He was like, listen, he's like, I can help you save Padme, because he was having dreams of Padme dying.
Right.
And he was like, I can help you save her. I can give you the power. I can help you understand. And he was like, what do you mean? He's like, are you the Sith? And he was like, yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So then Anakin's like, well, I'm going to have to think this over. So then he goes back to the council after they just, denied him the rank of master. And I think Yoda was out somewhere, so he went to Mace Windu and was like, listen, Palpatine's the Sith we've been looking for. And Mace Windu was like, listen, he's like, you're too close to this. Stay here. I'm going to go handle this.
Right.
And so Mace Windu takes like a couple Jedi with him, but Anakin's like, oh, this isn't the way we handle things. Like, why are we going to go kill this man? Like, we don't, as Jedi, we don't do this. So Anakin, after a while, is like, I have to go. Like, I have to go see this is the right way. So then he meets them, and Windu is about to strike down Palpatine.
With
like,
his
he's
purple
right
lightsaber.
There. He's right there, and Palpatine's like, oh, Anakin, help me. And you can kind of see the morality in this scene, where you have this man who's on his back, and Mace Windu's hovering over him, about to strike him down.
Right.
And it's the moment where the Jedi don't look like Jedi.
Right. And you could kind of see it.
And so what does Anakin do? He stops it. Puts his lightsaber in between, knocks it back, and that's when Palpatine takes advantage of the situation and takes Windu out the window.
Electricity, yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, that was when Anakin was just like, well, I fucked up, so I guess I just have to keep fucking up and just become your apprentice now.
I got to a couple. I didn't get to the prequels here.
Yeah.
How do we get to Anakin going to go after the kids with the Force abilities?
He literally just sends him. He's like, all right, Darth Vader is your name. He's like, so we have work to be done. He's like, so let's do it. And then that's when he sent him to the temple. He's like, we have to send a message to the Jedi. He goes, but we have to take out the Jedi too.
Wow.
And so Anakin's like, all right, I guess I'll do it. And goes to the temple and takes him out.
And that easy.
Just like that.
Oh my god.
That was, I think, to be honest, that was the one thing that I didn't understand. Like, I get it. Like, I just fucked up and, like, Mace Windu's dead because of me.
Yeah.
He's like, but at that point, he was like, I'll do anything you say.
Yeah, it just became
Just
out
like
of
that.
nowhere.
Like,
right?
out of nowhere, he's like, I'm just going to do everything you say.
Right.
Like, I guess he was overcome by grief. Like, I can't go back to the Jedi. Like, they won't take me back. Like, Obi-Wan won't ever trust me again. Like, whatever it may be. Like, I don't know what ran through his head at that moment.
So you just say, fuck
But
it?
he literally was like, all right, I guess you're my master now. Like, I'll be Darth Vader. Like, that was it.
So, I mean, I know we get that scene, and then that's when he goes to...
They send him to that planet.
Mustafar?
Mustafar, yeah.
All right, and that's when Obi-Wan gets over there.
He brings Padme with... Padme goes over there, and Obi-Wan hid in her ship.
Hid in the ship, right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then so, after Anakin kills the rest of the Trade Federation to establish the Empire, Padme goes, sees him, like, come home with me, like, we can just forget all this. And then motherfucker Obi-Wan shows up out of the ship, and he's like, you brought him?
Yeah.
You betrayed me. And he force throws her.
Right.
The pregnant chick.
He almost chokes her out, I believe.
Yeah, he choked her out. He choked her and threw her.
And she knocked out.
Yep.
Now, this is where we get, I think, one of the coolest lightsaber fights.
The greatest fight.
That is between Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It was a straight, 10-minute fight.
And I'm telling you, I mean, I know that a lot of people kill these three movies. Again, Revenge of the Sith, I think, is actually pretty good. But that lightsaber fight between them was pretty crazy, intense. I did feel emotional about that one.
It was all Ewan McGregor, man. Like, the way he set...
You were the chosen
He's
one!
like, you were my brother, Anakin!
I loved you!
He's like, I loved you!
Question.
Mm-hmm.
I loved you?
Well, he said you're my brother.
Yeah, but I thought the Jedi...
I think he's... Obi-Wan said this to Padme when he went to the terrace. He went to the apartment, and that's when the Jedi Temple was under attack.
Right.
And Obi-Wan had just went with Yoda and saw the video of Anakin killing the younglings. So he went to Padme to see if he was there, and Padme was like, what's going on? Is everything okay? And he told him, like, Anakin has turned to the dark side, like, he turned against us. And Padme's like, what are you going to do when you find him? And he's like, whatever I can. And she goes, are you going to kill him? And he's like, I have to do whatever I can. So maybe that was his way of trying to bring Anakin back. Showing that love of a brother, maybe a father.
Yeah. I don't know. When I heard him say, I loved you, Anakin, I'm like...
You are my brother. I loved you.
Yeah.
You were supposed to bring balance of the Force.
Yeah, it's balance of the Force, everything.
Not destroy it.
And my favorite is I have the high ground.
Don't do it, Anakin. I have the high ground. And he was like, I have this power, bitch. Let me just flip over you. Oh, okay.
And there goes your legs.
There goes your legs and your arms, and now you're just falling into the lava.
Oh my god, that's so freaking crazy. And it was crazy because as he was turning to the dark side, his face was changing.
His face, his eyes.
Yeah.
It was after he killed
crazy.
the whole Trade Federation. His eyes were yellow.
Yeah.
So
Just nuts, man. And again, the basic gist of what happens in the Revenge of the Sith here. Padme gets taken away, medical help.
yeah,
She delivers the 2 kids, but then still passes away.
she had a broken heart. She gave up.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yoda fights Palpatine and kind of loses, I guess. He kind of just gave up too.
Let me tell you something. Yoda versus Palpatine in the Trade Federation, awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome until he like fell and he was like, "Well, fuck my back." He was like, "Come get me, come get me." I fell. I'm hurt.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, man, the Revenge of the Sith left off with how we got Darth Vader because we also got Darth Vader Rise. That was awesome, man. And you hear the music. Bam, 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 bam,
I think the best part was the greatest setup was Palpatine telling him, he was just like, "Padme, she's dead. Like, you killed her." And he was like, "No." And like, you didn't know about the kids, and that makes perfect sense why he didn't know about
Yeah.
Luke and Leia, because she died, so they had to die too.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
it's in his eyes.
Which is nuts, man. So, I mean, we got more of a story for Palpatine. We got to understand and see where he came from and how he came of. But, you know, one thing we also forgot to mention was when he did talk to Anakin about becoming closer to the dark side,
Yeah.
he mentioned this story about Darth Plagueis.
Yeah.
Who discovered a way to cheat death.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we're going to lead to with these next movies, which is where we think Palpatine learned what Darth Plagueis learned.
Yeah, I feel like this is gonna become like the Darth Plagueis. I mean, Palpatine. I think he found a way to become the dark side.
Right. It'd
You
be
know?
crazy, man. So, I mean, let's get into the last 2 movies here
we
before The Rise of Skywalker. But we're not really going to touch Solo because Solo's a prequel to the original 3 movies. Rogue One, as great as it is, if you've never seen it, you should give it a check. It is a good lead up to A New Hope. It was a great movie. But I really don't think it has anything to do with what's going to happen in this movie.
I don't think so.
So
unless the whole Knights of Ren thing comes true, but they all died, so I don't know.
Exactly.
All those guys
That's
died
my
there,
one
so.
hope is that they end up being the Knights
Because
of
they had
Ren.
the same weapons. Like, that was a really cool image crossover thing, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk about that when we get to the Rise of Skywalker and our predictions there. So, excuse me. So with the Force Awakens, when that came back, after the prequels there,
Yeah.
we needed something, man. And as much as they say this is just a retread of the New Hope, I gotta tell you guys, Force Awakens is awesome.
It was good.
I enjoyed that movie. I've watched that movie. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen that movie, and I still enjoy it. It's a great movie. It's a great callback. A lot of beautiful scenes.
Yeah.
I really do love that movie. That movie's awesome, man. We get introduced into Rey, Finn, Poe,
Kylo Ren.
BB-8. And if you read the crawl to the beginning of that movie, it's Leia sending the team out to find Luke. Luke is missing. Luke is gone. We don't know why Luke is gone. We just know that Luke is not around and they need him because the Rebel Alliance is gearing up for another attack because the First Order has taken over what the Empire was doing, and they're a much bigger threat apparently.
Yeah.
The beginning of this, I love the opening line was, this is going to set a lot of things straight. We're going to fix things from here. I guess they're trying to say, like, well, my bad about the prequels. But, we meet with Poe Dameron in this movie, and
Right away.
he's just an awesome airplane or X-Wing fighter.
Yeah.
He could fly anything, and he gets captured by the First Order. They have the plans or the map to Luke, which they hid in BB-8.
Yeah.
And BB-8 got sent off before everyone got captured. So BB-8 is off on this planet. I forgot the name of the planet now. I can't even think of it. Jakar?
Yeah.
I think it's Jakar, right?
I think so.
The junk planet?
Yeah.
So BB-8's on his way in Jakar looking
Jakku.
for... Jakku.
There
You go. So he's looking for help or trying to get away from the First Order. Poe gets taken to the Imperial ship, which we meet. Well, we didn't. We meet freaking Kylo Ren in Jakku. Dude, that was
when he holds the
the shot glass. That was the most craziest thing I've seen in a long time. Yeah. I remember the first time he did that, I was like, "Oh shit!"
And it was just sitting there for a while.
Especially because the way he just turns around and just stops it with the Force.
Yeah.
It was just so cool. And then even him talking through that voice box thing. Sounded like he was talking through a radio, It definitely did not sound like Darth Vader, but I get what he was going for.
Yeah.
But it did look cool, look interesting. You could tell that he was trying to be Darth Vader, which goes great into it goes great into his story. He's trying to become Darth Vader for whatever reason it is.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times in the movie, they also mention that there's light in him, or there's some good in him. Yeah, and you're like, what is this dude's deal?
Yeah.
Right?
So goddamn emotional.
Dude, the funniest thing is the reaction of the First Order troops or the people when they have to tell him bad news. Or when he's losing his shit, they turn around.
He destroyed the elevator with his helmet, and they all just turned around.
But we get Poe is in the Imperial ship, and we get introduced to Finn. Finn was the character that was in Jakku in the beginning of the movie who did not like what was happening. It looked like he was having a change of heart.
Yeah, he saw what was happening to the people in that village, and he just wasn't about it. So like you could see like they ordered the execution of the entire village, and he was the only one who didn't shoot his blaster. And so
they sent his blaster for check, right?
Yeah, so they sent his blaster for check, but Kylo Ren noticed that he didn't shoot his blaster, so he was just staring him down. He was like, what the fuck? You didn't shoot? So then that's when they sent, I forget her name, Captain Phasma. And, she's like, oh, we have a mandatory check of your gun when we get back. Yeah. And then I think that leads right into meeting Rey on Jakku. Seeing her every day selling parts out of the old ships.
This is good for a quarter portion.
1/8 a portion. And I was like, damn, that was nothing. Like, fuck.
But what'd you think of that take? I thought it was so interesting to see a trooper turn coat.
It's interesting because, they go into a little later about how they went and got kids, and brought them as stormtroopers because we don't have clones anymore, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting take. So for them to like force kids into this role of being a stormtrooper, I thought it was interesting because it shows a sense of morality. These are people, and you're forcing them to do them because you're the Force Order.
Right.
But how are people going to react if this is something they don't want to do?
Right.
Obviously we go into the whole traitor thing later, but like, it's
traitor,
like, traitor. Like, but like, it was interesting to have this guy Finn have this sense of morality and just like, I wanted no part in this, and I truly I want to get out. So when he starts helping Poe to escape, it's a really cool set of dialogue, especially when Poe's like, why are you helping me? He goes, because, I feel like I got to do the right thing.
He goes, you need someone to fly out of here. He goes, I need someone to fly out of here. Oh, Finn, you're amazing. Yeah, man. So they steal one of the
TIE fighters.
The TIE fighters there. And dude, I can't, every time I hear the TIE fighters flying, dude, I can't wait to hear that on Thursday or Friday, whatever we go see this, man. But so they get out of the ship and they fly. You see him flying the TIE fighter with no problems. Finn is helping them out shoot, but of course they get caught by those heat-seeking missiles. It looked like,
yeah.
And they get back on Jakku. Finn thinks Poe is gone. The plane,
the TIE fighter sinks
and everything. He finds the jacket. He puts it on, and then Finn knows he's looking for either water,
and he's looking for the robot. He's looking for an orange
and white
BB unit.
Yeah. So he sees it, and he sees Rey get attacked for the BB-8 because I think they were trying to capture the BB-8 to sell it.
Yeah.
But
because the First Order knew to look for the BB-8 unit.
Yeah. So we see Rey take on these challengers, and Finn's like, oh, he looked like he was about to run and help her.
Yeah.
But he realized,
she's like, stop holding my hand.
Yeah, she doesn't need the help button. But it's so cool, that scene, because when they start running away, and then because the stormtroopers see them, they order the TIE fighters to come in. they're running, and he goes, "We gotta get out of here," and they're looking for a ship. He goes, "How about that one? Nah, that's a piece of junk." They go to another one that explodes, and he goes, "Okay, we'll take the piece of junk." And then the camera turns, and it's the Falcon. Now, I remember that when we saw that in the movie theater, the whole theater lost it, man. That's an awesome moment,
right?
man.
That was hilarious.
He's like, "That piece of junk." I'm like, "Hey, that's the Falcon they're talking about, man."
Whoa, party foul.
So they get out of there and they start flying across, and then we get this weird thing that just, I don't know, sometimes it makes Star Wars feel like such a small world.
Mm-hmm.
They get out of Jakku and they get tracked into a ship that's being ran by Han Solo and Chewbacca.
Yeah.
And Han and Chewbacca get that scene where they're back in the Millennium Falcon, which is just,
that was a great moment.
Awesome. And then at least a little hijinks here, which we don't care to talk about because...
No. Not necessary.
Raptors. But, you see the camaraderie between Han, Chewie's still there. They start talking to Finn and Rey tells them they have the map that leads to Luke Skywalker. And then I think we got something cool because it was a callback to what Han Solo said in A New Hope, which is he didn't believe in the Force. Mm-hmm. So here he is. They're looking at the map to find Luke, and he's telling them it's real.
Everything, all of it's true.
All of it's true. And it just shows a change of character, change of heart in him from the years gone past.
Yeah.
And they go to another planet where they look for, I forgot the lady, Maz Kanata?
Yeah. Maz, yeah.
Maz Kanata, there you go. And they go to Maz Kanata to kind of find out, I think they were just trying to hide from...
I think they were looking for some kind of information to get back to the First Order, not the First Order, to the Rebel Alliance, basically. The Resistance, that's their new name. They're trying to find them, and along the way, Finn was trying to leave, and then Rey gets called to by the lightsaber.
Now, what'd you think of that when the lightsaber called on to her?
I think that was a cool moment, especially to see her reaction to touching it. When she touched it, you never really get a moment like that, but I feel like that was the moment where the Force chose her.
I guess, yeah, you could say that.
Where the Force called her and chose her, in a sense, to grab that lightsaber. And it was an interesting moment, watching the kind of the moments where you saw Luke touching R2, and all that stuff. So I think that was a cool moment.
Now, is that where we saw the Knights of Ren for the first time?
Yes.
That is the scene that broke my heart because I'm like, where are these guys?
Who and where? Because
they looked fucking bad as hell.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want those guys and Kylo Ren together kicking ass. And they were never to be seen again. But, what's cool after that is, well, not really cool, but what was a cool scene to see was that was the first time that Star Destroyer destroyed those planets. I think they destroyed the Republic.
They destroyed one of the planets. That wasn't
it was 5 planets they destroyed at the same time.
Because they were trying to find where the resistance base was. Kind of almost a mirror of what happened in was it Empire or
A New Hope?
It was A New Hope.
When they destroyed Alderaan.
So kind of like a mirror of what happened there. And they see the shot, and then the First Order finds them on that planet. Mm-hmm. And then that's issues one of the first fight scenes of the movie.
Yeah, man.
One of the real fight scenes.
And then that's when we get Rey and Kylo Ren meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
Which is weird, though, because if you remember before, when they escaped from Jakku, one of the soldiers goes and the BB-8 unit's with a girl, and he grabbed the guy from a distance and brought him closer to him.
Yeah.
And then he cut the scene. And it made it seem like, why did he react like that just by hearing that he went with a girl? Did he know more than what we know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you remember that part by any chance?
Yeah. I feel like when he said that, he was kind of you just let him go. That's who got away with him, or some rando, So I think to hear that it wasn't the Resistance. It was just some random person.
Gotcha.
Kind of set him off.
I don't know. I almost got the impression that he knew about Rey or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
Until almost the same thing with Darth Vader. I didn't think he knew to think of her until the Force in her called out.
Right.
And that's when he got the sense of her.
Yeah, man.
And that was cool. You got Finn did he use the lightsaber to fight the renamed traitor stormtrooper?
I think he had the lightsaber in his hand, but it got blown out of his hand when he got I think when the TIE fighters were shooting.
Yeah,
it exploded and he like fell. And
yeah,
the lightsaber went, and that's when he got up, and then he goes, "Traitor!"
So I was like, that was a cool fight, you know.
Dude, that scene in total, that scene when they got out of that building, when they were running to go find Rey before the First Order came and got her. Even when the X-Wings were coming, they're like, you see all the soldiers looking and running towards the water because they could see the X-Wings coming through, and just seeing those X-Wings like come close to each other and fly.
Scene when they're flying down was so
nice. Oh
nice.
My God. And then you see that Poe actually made it. He's alive. And just him kicking ass.
Yeah.
He was doing one shots. He wasn't like shooting a bunch of shots. He's like, doop, 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 and each thing was hitting somebody. He was even taking out soldiers one by one with an X-Wing, which was ridiculous. And I think Finn yells out, "That's flying!" You know, like, now that's a pilot.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And so Rey gets captured by Kylo Ren, and they get taken, and Han sees
Leia.
Sees Kylo
Ren there,
bringing him into the spaceship, and they fly off. And that's as soon as they kind of go off, the rebels and the resistance come and land, and we get our first interaction between Han Solo and Leia.
You changed your hair.
Well, before that, C-3PO goes in the middle of them and goes, "Han Solo?" You know, he's just like, yeah. Get out the way, bud.
you know about.
You know, and that's when we get the resistance.
Son.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny because when the guy said in the beginning of the movie, he's just like, "I know you. This is not you." I didn't know it was Han and Leia's son. And it's so funny because, you know, if you read some of the books, some of the comic books, you know about Ben Solo, but there was a twin, wasn't there? It was Ben and
there was supposed to be another one, yeah.
Right, and I think with this one they just went with a son only.
Well, those books were thrown out the window in a sense, and they kind of made their own like universe books. Like those were taken out of canon, as they call it.
Right.
So those are not official anymore. They're just books of what happened.
Gotcha.
So they took from those books a little bit.
Right. So now we get, you know, them trying to find a way to battle this, you know, to go get, first of all, for Han or Leia to get to Ben somehow, Ben Solo, to get him back, because they're still lighting him, they say.
Yeah.
You know, and at the same time, Finn's like, we have to get to this planet. And then the rebels themselves with the resistance here, they want to get to this new Death Star that just killed off 5 planets.
Yeah.
So they come up with this mission, but they said they can't get through some kind of like...
it has its own like barrier. Defense,
right.
Yeah.
But somehow Finn said he knew how to take it down. So Finn went
the ship,
right. So Finn and Han and Chewbacca went there looking for him, and he actually didn't know where he was going. And then while this is happening, Rey and Kylo are interacting for the first time, and I think this is the first time that she gives the Force back to him.
Yeah, well, she used the Jedi mind trick as well, you know. So like. Crazy, because she gives the Force back to him hard.
Yeah, and he got nervous.
He started to sweat for a little bit.
And I think we also got our first peek at Snoke, which doesn't matter anymore. Thank you, Rian Johnson. So that's why we're not even mentioning Snoke in this anymore. But you know, they get the interaction between Rey and Kylo. You see, there's some kind of like Force connection there. Something's happening, and you know, she escapes using the Jedi mind tricks on a stormtrooper, which, by the way, was Daniel Craig, 007. Yeah. It's Daniel Craig that's inside that stormtrooper. So she gets away. She tries to run away, and so does Finn, Han, and Chewie. They start looking for her. They finally link up, and as they find each other and link up, they start to try to get away. Han sees Ben.
Yeah, because they're attaching bombs to try and detonate in there.
Right, to bring down this force field that these X-Wings are going to have to go through to destroy the building. Destroy the planet, excuse me. And Han goes
Star Killer, right?
Star Killer base. So we get Han Solo trying to bring his son back, man. And to be honest with you, I really thought that was going to be a change. I did not expect Kylo to
turn that shit on.
Yeah. He
help me, Father. Will you help me?
I know, right? All this shit, and then he's still like, spoiler alert. Come on, guys. You have to have seen Force Awakens by now. And Kylo kills Han Solo, man.
Now, there's the debate if he actually did kill Han Solo. Not okay. Yeah, Han's dead, but like if Han knew that this was gonna be the thing that was gonna happen, did Han sacrifice himself to start breaking down at his son? Breaking down against his thinking of the dark side.
Right.
Did Han know he was gonna die at the scene? It was just like, if this is gonna help you in the long run.
I don't think he did, man. I did really think that he thought he could save his son.
It was just the way Han looked at him afterwards. When he turned it on, like it wasn't like, I'm surprised you just did that. It was kind of like, I hope this does the trick.
Wow.
Yeah, just the way he looked at him when he turned it on. Like, of course, Han was like, oh, like, but it wasn't a surprise face. It was like, I hope this does it.
Wow, I didn't get that vibe at all. I thought, to me, I thought he was surprised that his son actually went off for the kill. And so, one of our heroes, one of our favorite, I guess, roles in movies, Han Solo is taken out. You get the from Chewbacca there, losing his mind as he should. And, they try to get away. And then we get an ultimate saber fight with Finn and Rey versus Kylo. You know, I think at first it's Finn with the sword because he knocks Rey out somehow. I think
he throws against a tree.
Right, and she knocks out for a little bit. So Finn is there trying to fight. He pulls the sword out. He lights it up, and you see that blue lightsaber across his face. You hear Kylo Ren, and this is one of my favorite things: is Kylo Ren beating himself to feel the pain more. He's like,
Wait, was that? I think that was with Rey, because that's when Finn. I think Finn got like a good hit on him.
Okay,
and then Finn's like, "That doesn't belong to you." I mean, Kylo's like, "That doesn't belong to you," and then fucking sliced him along the back.
Jesus, yeah, that was pretty bad. I thought Finn was done, honestly.
Oh, no. You know what? You're right. Because what happened was Chewie shot Kylo Ren.
Him, yeah, when he
killed
Ken Han. So he's hitting himself to feel the pain more, which is so weird. I
feel nothing.
So, yeah, man. So Kylo Ren is now fighting Finn. Finn gets taken out. And then you see Kylo go for the lightsaber.
Yeah.
And it flies past him and goes to Rey's hands.
Yep.
Which was freaking awesome.
Like two people who hold lightsabers?
And they have somewhat of an epic battle there. And I think this is one of Al's gripes with the movie.
She was too fucking good at that.
Right, exactly.
Swinging it for the first time.
Swinging it for the first time. Kylo Ren, who's been practicing and learning from the Sith, from, Snoke.
He was Luke's technical apprentice.
Right, that also. And here's Rey with apparently, quote unquote, no training, just learning about the Force.
Yeah.
And here she is holding her own against Kylo and actually getting a few licks in.
Yeah.
And then the world starts to break down underneath them.
She sliced him in the face.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she left that mark. And we get that separation from between each other. So they all both are flying off. Chewie comes in at the last minute to save Rey. And Rey gets Finn. They get in the Millennium Falcon. And they're off to the Resistance again.
Yeah.
So we're there. We get that. And then I think at some
Leia
point.
knows.
Yeah, she just kind of felt it that Han had passed. And, Rey and her hug.
And then R2-D2 turns on.
R2-D2 turns on. And then they get the other half of the map. And we know where Luke is.
Yeah.
And then we get this silly, just staring moment.
I mean, it was a half an hour walk to get to this staring moment. That was
oh, my God. So Rey and Luke meet each other, and we're left right there.
She hands the lightsaber over for a solid 5 minutes.
And it's just Luke staring intently at her.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the movie cuts off right there.
Right there.
Which I thought was a pretty good cliffhanger for that movie because it got you waiting for The Last Jedi.
Yeah. And we talked about that ending for a while.
Yeah, man, because we're like, oh, my God, what is Luke going to do?
Yeah.
I remember how hyped up Al was. He's just like, oh, he's going to get his saber back. He's been a Jedi Master for forever, so he's going to kick some ass. And we had all these expectations. I myself had these expectations because I wanted to see what a Jedi Master who has been training other Jedis, who has been in the Force for God knows how long, what he was going to do. And then the Rian Johnson's Last Jedi came out. So according to the opening crawl, the First Order kind of decimates the Resistance. They're left with just a couple of ships and the big battleship there. I think actually they were a big battleship, but they were on another planet hiding.
Yeah,
and they were trying to load up to get out of there.
They were leaving the planet.
Yeah, so The Last Jedi starts with this whole scene now where they're about to they find where their First Order are. They're about to blow it up, and they call something called the Dreadnought, which is, I guess, the first time we've ever seen this ship.
Huge battleship.
And here's this one X-Wing fighter, Poe Dameron, just standing in front. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when this movie started off, I was like, okay, let's go. Let's do this. I was hyped up. Then we got the bad connection joke. And I was like, oh, no. Please don't tell me we're going to go with this. Because this is Star Wars. This is the Rebels, the Resistance versus the Empire, the First Order. We got time for jokes? I'm not hearing you. Is anybody hearing me? Meanwhile, this guy's losing his mind, telling them they're going to kill him and all this stuff.
The guy's like, I think he's stalling.
And I mean, but then after that little joke, of course, we get the great flying from Poe Dameron. He's destroying all the turrets, clearing them off. And sure enough, man, he's ready to take down this Dreadnought machine. They try to bring him back. I think Leia's
like, you did what you needed to do. Let's go. Like,
right,
fall back.
Everybody was done. And he's like, no, we have a shot at bringing down a Dreadnought.
Yeah.
And I see the point of that scene was that he needs to just have belief and hope in the Resistance plans or or whoever was in charge's orders, because he wasn't seeing it. He was only seeing it his way, and his way led to death.
Like, almost more than half, like 3/4 of their battalion got taken out.
Let's be real though; those bomber ships were weak as fuck.
I think it's like 2 shots.
2 shots and they all blew up. I mean,
that's not effective. Whoever engineered those ships was stupid.
It's dumb. Yeah. No wonder we've never seen them before. Right. They were clearly in the trial phase, and they were still using them.
Someone's desk like, this is a terrible idea, and then like he got fired, and they're like, I think those are great. Let's do it.
But like this whole Last Jedi movie, even so, they destroy the Dreadnought.
Yeah.
And then the Resistance tries to fly off in hyperspace.
And they get followed.
And they don't understand how this is happening. And apparently they figure out that the the First Order must have some way of tracking them.
Yeah.
Right? So they come up with this plan to get a code breaker. I think it was. Find a code breaker that Maz Kanata told him that this master code breaker would be in some Canto Bright casino place. Boy, we'll get to that.
Oh, boy.
And then while they're doing that, we also had the issue where I think what it was Snoke had kind of like talked shit about Rey, about Kylo Ren being weak.
Yeah.
So he destroyed his helmet again. And I think he got into his own special TIE fighter.
Yeah.
And he went to go do some damage out there.
Mm-hmm.
And he got pretty close. And I think he was ready to shoot Leia, but it seemed like he felt her, right?
He felt her force. She felt him.
So he pulled off.
And then the other TIE fighter's like, nah, fuck it, I got this shit then.
Now, is it me, when you watched The Last Jedi, did it seem like he killed those 2 TIE fighters?
You know what? To be honest, I don't recall it. But I feel like he would have.
I think it looked like he either nudged one or shot the other one. And there was 2 TIE fighters that threw the missiles that ended up, quote unquote, killing Leia in the moment.
Yeah.
And then it looks like he took them out afterwards for killing his mom, I guess. But that little resistance to not doing it, I thought that was saying something. And I thought in that movie that they were going to have him turn. And I think one of the things I don't want to see is Kylo turn into a good guy. I get that's what happened with Darth Vader, but they don't have to repeat the same kind of story. I don't want Kylo to turn back. So anyway, we get this, scene where Leia is now sucked out into the emptiness of space.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of
her force bringing to life?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's the one thing Rian Johnson did to kind of like give a fan service, but it didn't really work out the way he planned.
Right.
Like trying to say like, oh no, she does know the Force. She's not someone who trained in it like Luke did, but she knows the Force.
Right.
I was like, okay. I think that was a dumb way of doing it. Like,
because it was almost like, that was like the first time we ever seen her use it in the movie.
Yeah, other than like instinct.
Right.
So I think it was a dumb thing to do.
Yeah, and also she looked like Mary Poppins, so.
Yeah. It was, I feel like they could have used that in a different capacity. Like if they wanted to show off that she could use the Force,
Right.
I feel like her blocking a blaster shot or something with her hand would have been like
That would have been
enough,
cool.
you know. But
Yeah.
like her dying in space and then be like, no, the Force brings me to life, and it like carries her into the ship where she then passes out from using the Force for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I thought it was a little bit much.
Yeah, man. And then after that, we get the, you know, I think it's, I forgot the woman's name, but she became now the leader of the resistance, or she took over control.
Yeah.
Because Leia was out of commission. So, you know, she's doing this while, of course, Finn again is doing his mission in Cano Bright to find these Codebreaker.
Yeah.
Which turns into this whole little charade
Shit show
and
with horse-looking aliens and
yeah, the Peter commercial.
yeah, it was dumb though. They got put in jail where they found a different Codebreaker who said he'll help in this and that, and then they run with more of those horses and then they get off the planet, and like it was just all a waste of 45 minutes.
Right. It really, I honestly did not like that part of it.
That planet was a really long time for nothing.
Yeah, and then we jump back to the longest fucking spaceship battle
The slow
speed space chase for 2 hours because they kept jumping to hyperspace and they get followed, and then they were running out of gas.
They're staying out of their distance. That's what they're staying out of the distance for the enemy to shoot.
Right. Let's just go to
Just
the cool.
enough.
Let's just go to the cool parts, man, because we could trash this shit forever.
Yeah.
So the next part is Rey ends up getting on the ship.
After she trained with Luke for a little bit.
Right, because Luke trained her. I think she finally got the truth between Luke.
Yeah, about what happened with him and Kylo Ren.
Right. So what happened with Kylo Ren and him is that Luke kind of felt that he was going towards the dark side for some reason.
He felt how powerful the Force was coming out of him.
And then he looked into his mind to see the future kind of thing.
He saw the dark side.
He saw the dark side. And I think he said in that split moment, he just reacted.
Yeah.
But then he thought about who he was, and before he could change his mind and take the saber,
Motherfucker woke up.
yeah, Kylo woke up and saw the lightsaber and
Yeah.
thought that he was just trying to kill him.
Yeah.
And he broke down the mountains, not the mountains, the hut that they were in.
Yeah.
And he killed off some of the other
Killed
students,
off all the other students.
except for his Knights of Ren.
I think the Knights of Ren were... there's a comic book now about the Knights of Ren and him. I think the Knights of Ren came afterwards, but he challenged them, I think, alongside Luke. But I think he joined the Knights of Ren after that. It was him who took out.
I think he said that in that there was a bunch of Force users that he was friends with, and he used them. So he met them at the school.
Okay. Because I know they said right after that was when Luke woke up, the temple was burnt down and he had killed everybody.
Yeah, man. So I mean, I guess another thing that we learned while she was training with Luke, besides the fact that Luke turned into a bitch, one of the scenes that stood out to me is her interaction with Kylo Ren through the Force.
Yeah.
Where he could kind of see where she was. She could kind of see him.
They could touch.
Which was crazy because you never seen that or heard that in the films.
Yeah.
But it ended up being,
Snoke.
according to Snoke, he was the one that did that.
Creating that Force bond.
Which is crazy. I don't even understand that.
Sith things.
And these Sith are crazy. So, we have that happen, and it kind of like leads you to believe that something's going to happen between the two of them. There's some kind of weird interaction. And to be honest with you, I never got like a lover interaction.
It seemed like a forced romantic interaction.
It was a weird romantic interaction because I don't think that they're really into each other. It was
super forced. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I didn't like it. It felt uncomfortable and weird to be
uncomfortable, especially when he was shirtless.
When he was shirtless, she's like, "Can you put a cowl on?" It's like, "No."
He's like, "No, look at this. Look at this stomach of mine."
But there was something weird about it. And you knew that they were going to either meet up or link up somehow, some way. And what ended up happening was she gave herself up so that she could meet him. Because in her mind, she saw that she can save him. She told Luke, "I can save him. He is our last hope," or kind of thing, or something like that. And, Luke let her go kind of thing. So she went on her own after she like kind of battled him a little bit. to get the truth out of him. And we get one of the craziest scenes because a lot of it was cool. The background, the setting, the red, what were they, like Imperial Guards around Snoke?
Yeah.
They just look cool. And that red wall behind them just looked cool. But also seeing Snoke for the first time, like in person, was pretty cool as well.
Yeah. I mean, the first and last.
Right, because we thought we were going to get a whole story about Snoke, right? But, the way that he talked to her and talked to him and saying he saw the weakness in Kylo.
Yeah.
I think he was like, he got himself killed, man. He was talking a lot of shit about Kylo.
He's like, and he's gonna turn on the lightsaber and he's gonna strike down his enemy, and he got himself killed. He's like, I can see everything he's thinking.
Yeah,
I was
man.
like, guess not.
Yeah, right. I guess you read wrong.
You got fucked up.
Now, did you expect that when the sword turned on and cut him in half?
No, because I thought at this point this is Disney and that couldn't happen. And for that to happen, I'm like, oh shit. I was like, Disney.
Like, it caught me off guard, and I get, like, again, what Rian Johnson was trying to do was subvert your expectations. He's, we sold Snoke as this big bad, and here he is dead in the middle of the movie of The Last Jedi. So you're almost like, then what the hell's gonna happen at the end? We still got another movie 2 years from now. So I get what he was trying to do to try to change the way we looked at Star Wars. And again, one of the coolest scenes we have is them versing, Kylo Ren and Rey together fighting against the Imperial Guards that were protecting Snoke.
Yeah.
And that was some badass shit, man. That was
crazy.
really cool. And then you had, while they were fighting, we had the whole scene with Finn. I forgot the girl's name now.
I don't remember her name because she was just the character who brought on because her sister died.
Yeah, man, Rose. That's her name, Rose. So Finn and Rose get on the Imperial ship with the Codebreaker. They get caught. The Codebreaker makes a deal to get out of it. He gets money, and he tells them that the Resistance is trying to, escape to another planet that has a Resistance base on it, an old Resistance base. So what does the Resistance starts doing? They start shooting at the ships and killing off a lot of the Resistance. And while all that's happening, Kylo and Rey are fighting off the guards. They finally fight and they win. And then they have this weird interaction where they each think whatever they saw in their vision of what was going to happen, they were going to try to make happen. Kylo thought Rey would join him to take over the world or the universe.
Yeah.
And Rey thought Kylo would join her to take on the First Order.
Yeah.
And they were both like, this is not what I saw, Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, because I don't know where that leaves them off in this next one, because then we get to the ship explodes because the general that got left on the big ship that they were chasing after, the First Order, they did one of those cool things, which is, I think, what was it? That she went into light speed in front of those.
Yeah, she light speeded right into the ships.
Yeah, and it kind of destroyed all the ships there.
Yeah.
So crazy.
That was her sacrifice. As everyone was in the escape pods and stuff.
By the way, it should have been Akbar that did that sacrifice, not her.
Well, I think he got killed off.
He got killed off
yeah.
when those things shot out at Leia.
Yeah.
But Akbar should have been the one that did that, by the way. So, I mean, the next scene that happens after all this stuff that happens on the ship is this nonsense with Phasma, which I think was complete bullshit.
Again.
The Phasma thing and Finn was just nonsense.
Needs to be over.
Really was. I hope Phasma doesn't show up again.
Oh,
but we'll see.
Well, she will.
So they end up on this Resistance planet that's made of salts, I think it is.
Yeah.
And you get a couple cool looking scenes there. We have the Gorilla AT-ATs, and then we have the Imperial ship that has Kylo Ren and the Hawk was the general?
I think it was Hawk.
General Hux.
Hux, yeah.
Hux. So we got Hux and Ren.
Who's now like his bitch now.
Yeah, pretty much. They're there. By the way, did you remember the scene before they when the ship exploded? Hux went to go find Snoke, and he saw Kylo Ren on the floor, and he went to go get his gun.
Yeah,
and then Kylo Ren just happened to wake up. He goes, "Oh, whoops,
shit!"
But
so close.
We get to this Resistance planet, and not a lot of the Resistance makes it. So we gotta see. Let's see here. So they get to the Resistance planet, and they're trying to just I guess, delay the inevitable, because it looks like the First Order is going to break down the wall and get to all the guys, all the resistance fighters. And we got a cool scene there where they decide to fight back. They decide to try to get a win or to try to do something, because they were going to pull out a cannon. What was it? A battering ram, they called it?
Yeah.
That was based off of the Starkiller base laser.
Yeah.
So they were going to destroy the wall to get to the rebels, and there wasn't a lot of rebels left or resistance fighters
And they
left.
had those old little vehicles.
So they found those old wings thing. Now, when they were flying towards that battering ram, the battering ram was starting to turn on. I thought it was a cool scene, but tell me if I'm wrong on this, kid. Don't you think that if Finn had died, like trying to stop that from happening, that would have been worth much more than whatever happened?
Yes.
I honestly thought Finn was going to die, and I wasn't expecting that, and I think that would have changed the movie a little bit for me.
I think so too. I thought it would have been almost not necessary, but the most worthiest part of the whole movie was like the redemption for him.
Exactly. The redemption from him coming across as this traitor, this that, this guy he keeps running from the First Order every opportunity he has.
Yeah.
And here he is.
Towards him.
He's running towards him and willing to give his life for the resistance.
Yeah.
I thought that would have meant such a big deal if they had gone for it.
Yeah.
But then instead we get,
And the girl whose thing stops working apparently is the one who saves him. Like,
first of all, she rams him. Then he goes to her. He goes, "Why did you do that?" And she goes, "Because we're gonna win, not by fighting the things we hate, but by fighting for love." And then she kisses him, and I'm like, "When did you guys get romantic?"
and that's Disney. That was Disney poking its head.
Oh my goodness, man. So then, we get cut back to the resistance hold where it's like maybe 15 of them now.
Yeah.
And Luke Skywalker shows up. And he sits down in front of Leia. And she goes, "I know what you're thinking. My hair looks this way." It does. And he gives her Han's dice that were on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
And I don't know, something was just weird with the way he looked, because we just saw
It
him.
was different, yeah.
We just saw him in a different place, and his hair
was shorter.
Yeah, like, did you get a haircut before you got here? Like, bro, seriously?
My dude.
Priorities.
Yeah, stop. And then quick stop.
I got to get a cut before I see my sis.
Go see my barber. Hold on.
And, he looks at C-3PO. I like that. He looks at C-3PO, gives him like the little head nod.
Yeah.
Master Luke, And he tells Leia, he goes, "I can't save him," and he goes out there and he just stands there. And Kylo Ren loses his goddamn mind. Aim every gun at him. And then they start shooting, and they just keep shooting all the AT-ATs, everything that they have, shooting at that one spot. And I remember looking over at Al smiling, because Al's like, "I'm going to get what I want.
Yeah.
This is Luke Skywalker about to kick some ass," right? But instead we get a Jay-Z wipe the shoulders off. Are you kidding me? He wipes his shoulders, kind of saying like, "You did nothing."
Yeah.
And I think right after that,
Kylo Ren comes down.
Kylo was like, "Let me get down there," right? So Kylo goes over to him, and they make an emphasis to show Kylo's footprint on the floor with the red sand. And then they show Luke walking, and there's no footprint.
Yeah.
So there's something off right there. And then if I'm correct, Kylo goes to strike him a couple times.
Yeah, he takes his lightsaber out and just goes to town.
Right? And
tries to take him out.
And if I remember correctly, I think Kylo one time went to go get him. And did Luke like kind of do the lambada?
Yeah. Oh, he dipped all the way back.
And then he like spun around?
Yeah.
I guess that's pretty cool, but at the same time, unexpected. And then there was a part where I think Kylo strikes between his, and it goes right through him.
He realizes it.
And he's just like, "Wait a minute." And he walks up closer and tries to poke him.
Yeah.
And Luke's not there. Brandon, your thoughts on Force Ghost?
What a waste. What a waste. My man's projecting himself. I mean,
Force projection. There you go.
I understand the incredible power of this Jedi Master. The last one was that he can project himself across the galaxy and do all of that, have conversations and do all these things. Even the cost and the strain of what it did to him, but the power of the Force was that he could send himself, all the way over there and do all that stuff and have a conversation, blah, blah, blah.
And touch Leia and give her something.
Well, that disappeared. The dice disappeared.
The dice disappeared.
It was all the fake. But,
yeah.
It was like, I was like, that's it? Like,
if he was going to die by doing the Force projection, he might as well have gone there himself.
Right? Like, I was like, that's it?
I just so stupid.
I waited how long to see Luke be a badass? Like, and that was it?
Oh, man. And so while my man is doing the Force projection thing and stalling, Poe's like, because I think Finn was saying, we got to go help him. We got to go help him. And Poe's like, no, he's doing this for a reason. Because now Poe all of a sudden is smart now.
He's a smart guy.
Right? Poe's like, no, once and wait. He gets it. So they escape because they figure out those crystal foxes, whatever they were called.
They get out somehow.
So they see, one actually tells back and looks at them and go, follow me, right? And they follow them and they go, towards the back, and that's when we're Rey's back there. She lifts the rocks, and they escape, and then Kylo and her have one last interaction where they can see each other, kind of thing, and she closes the Millennium Falcon. And one thing we kind of jumped past was that Rey had found the Jedi books.
Yeah.
Or the first books of the Jedi there. And Luke thought he destroyed the books. Luke thought the books were destroyed because he was going to destroy them. And then when he didn't, Yoda sent a lightning strike.
Yeah.
And burned it down.
I'm going to fuck you up.
And it's funny because I listened to the words of Yoda. He goes, don't worry. Everything that was in there that's needed is already gone.
Yeah.
And then you realize that Rey took the books.
Yeah.
So there was nothing in the tree.
Yeah.
So it's so stupid. Anyway, so the books are in there in the Millennium Falcon, and basically there's 15 Resistance fighters left, or maybe less. And then they said that the signal went out to the people, but no one showed up or no one responded back to the signal.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much the end. But they said the Resistance can carry on from here. At the end of that movie. So now we get to Rise of Skywalker, Brandon.
Yep.
So where The Last Jedi left us off, and The Force Awakens left us off, and where Rian Johnson left us off.
Ooh, Ryan.
Any expectations, kid?
I don't know. I mean, listen, the ball is in JJ's court. It's back in his court. We'll see what he does with it.
Yeah.
He set himself up to say that this is the conclusion of all these movies put together. He's putting it out there that this is the definitive ending for this saga of the Skywalker family.
All 9 films.
All 9 films. This will tie up any loose ends. This will do this. This will do that. I hope it lives up. I hope it gives me my interest back.
I gotta say, so we're filming this. We're recording this on a Tuesday night.
Yep.
The world premiere of the movie came out yesterday, Monday night, and the reviewers out there that are lucky enough to see this movie, they put their first reactions, not a complete review or anything, and it's kind of been a mixed reaction, mostly positive, but a lot of people are saying a lot of comments. The comment that I see a lot is there's a lot in this movie. For I think it's 2.5 hours, They said it is. They said there's a lot that they put into this movie, a lot of action, a lot of fan service. And I think the fan service is almost like JJ being like, my bad.
I got you.
I should have done all 3 movies. Or my bad. I didn't know Ryan was going to do that.
Yeah, I saw it too. I didn't know that was happening.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm interested to see the fan service because let's be honest, Star Wars, as much as people say, oh, we make movies for all people to see, they got to remember sometimes the fans are the reason why these movies are so popular.
Yep.
100%. If you got millions and billions of fans out there, you gotta kind of want to give them a little something for being fans. You can't concentrate on people who are not Star Wars fans because they may not go see those movies.
Yeah.
The fans will. So yeah, give us some fan service. I just hope it's not OD. I can't wait to see what comes of it. I'm really excited to see the Knights of Ren. I really want to see what's up with Rey. Are her parents nobody?
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, when I first saw The Last Jedi, I didn't like the fact that they said that she's nobody.
I feel like she's a clone.
You think she's a clone?
I think she's a clone.
Me too, man. Especially when I saw that dark Rey.
Especially like the way they set up that little dark side hole thing on that planet with Luke. You know, there has to be some kind of balance, so there has to be dark side here.
Yeah.
They showed all of her in the mirror, so rows and rows of her. So I'm like,
yeah,
maybe that was a sign. And then, you know, when they started talking about this whole Palpatine thing and Dark Rey, I'm like, well, what if she and her parents are nobodies? Like maybe because she doesn't have parents.
Right. And when she asked to see her parents, who did it show? It showed herself looking at herself.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to that mirror showing a bunch of her, because I do believe she's a clone as well. Yeah. I do think that. But I do, like I said, I do want to see. I want to see something that says what happened. Why? I want to see the fact that she's a clone if it's true. And I want to see, like, you know, they're promoting Palpatine big time. You know, on the poster, Palpatine was in, you know, the Disney D23 thing when they showed Star Wars for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, how's Palpatine still around after all these years?
He's the dark side now.
You know, and I don't know if you saw the trailer I sent you. I sent a text message.
Yeah, I saw that.
Brother, if that was the first trailer that came out for this movie,
it would have been more hype.
It would have been ridiculous. Because the trailer, if you guys haven't seen the third trailer for Star Wars, it's about 30 seconds long. It starts off with Palpatine talking to Kylo in his head. And he goes, I have been the voice in your head. And then he sounds like Snoke. And then the last voice sounds like Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So it's Palpatine playing games with Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
And he's saying that he's been doing this for a long time. So I'm like, what is going on here? Is Palpatine really alive somehow?
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in seeing all of that, man, and I'm excited for it. And I don't know, any more predictions or thoughts on your end?
I think that the rise of Skywalker has nothing to do with Rey becoming a Skywalker, any of that. I think Rise of Skywalker is going to be Skywalker is going to be the new name of like the Resistance group. Those Force-sensitive kids and all those Force-sensitive people.
They're going to be considered themselves Skywalkers?
I think that's going to be the new name of that Resistance group is the Skywalkers.
Wow. I like that.
Right? Because I can't see Rey becoming a Skywalker.
Yeah, because I can't see like I really hope they don't retcon her being a clone or nobody. Because again, I completely forgot this thought I was trying to get to before was I didn't like the fact that she was nobody when I first heard it.
Yeah.
Now that I have like so much time, we have 2 years since the movie came out. The more I think about it, I think it says more that if she is from no one. Because then it's not like you have to know someone to have the Force.
Yeah, she doesn't have to be Obi-Wan's kid.
Right.
It doesn't have to be somebody, Qui-Gon's cousin, like, you know.
Yeah, it'll be cool. I mean, I hope they don't like retcon and be like, oh, she's Obi-Wan's daughter.
Yeah.
Or she's like maybe the twin sister that Han and Leia hid from everyone. Yeah. I don't want any of that. I think I want to keep it that, you know, she's just special, you know. Yeah. It'd be nice to know if she has parents or whatever, but at the same time, I think just like you do, I think she's a clone.
Yeah.
But from what? You know, that's going to be interesting and cool to see, man. But any predictions? What do you think the chances of the Rogue One characters being the Knights of Ren?
I think given the timeline, slim to none.
Slim to none, okay.
But
do you think Palpatine's really in this movie?
Yes. I think 100% he's in this movie.
All right, let me see what else I can ask you, man. You think Kylo Ren switches sides?
Yes.
God damn it, I don't want that.
It's Disney. It has to happen.
No.
I feel like Kylo Ren has taken on the role that Anakin was supposed to be.
Right.
He's the balance. He's the strongest Force user in the galaxy now.
Right.
Now that Luke is gone, he's supposed to be stronger than Rey. He's just so clouded by his anger and all his tornness that he doesn't know how to control the Force as much.
Right.
Now because of all this torn stuff. So I think the whole point of Rey is to get him back.
Right.
You know, and I don't know if the balance means that there has to be one dark side person and one light side person. You know,
Right.
If Dark Ray ends up becoming the other necessary part of the balance,
Right.
You know, but like, I feel like the whole point was to get him because he's the chosen one.
I got you.
I think inevitably he's supposed to be the one who is the chosen one.
Wow, insane, man. All right, man. Well, listen, man. I know we've been a long time. How long is this podcast going right now?
1 hour 48.
Jesus Christ.
Star Wars.
Star Wars, man. There's a lot to get into, man. I can only imagine how we had the 4 of us in here. 2 hours.
2 hours. Oh my God.
But listen, guys, we're gonna cut the podcast off right there. We're gonna end it, and you know, honestly, as a Star Wars fan, I just hope that everyone does get to enjoy it. Guys, stay away from online, like, you know, Reddits and YouTube comment sections, and you know, anywhere you can, because you know what, man, spoilers suck. You know what I mean? So just try to avoid everything until you see the movie. Hopefully you have a great time. I think I'm going to have a great time regardless. I might even see it twice this week. So, you know, when we get back to, you know, the Real Fan Review podcast on this Sunday, we're going to do a review of it with the 4 of us here. Maybe some other people might come as well. So we'll get the podcast right there. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the little recap with us. And again, this Sunday, we'll go over the review for Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker. And, you know, signing off, before we sign off, actually, you can find us at therealfanreview.com. You can email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Guys, we appreciate you listening. Coming from New York, we got my brother B.
Hey.
Myself, Hav. We thank you for always listening. Have a good night.